So I've just played about 50 hours of PoE 2, and after spending a complete season on Diablo 4, it is a very different change of pace, right? It's a lot slower than playing Diablo 4 at max build, just blasting through the entire content, surrounded by, thousands of minions, and all of those minions are just blowing up all over the screen, right? PoE 2 isn't that. PoE 2 is a lot slower, and you're surrounded by like 3 to 7 minions at a time, because any more than that, you're just going to get absolutely obliterated and you're going to die. And there's a lot of people that are saying that the game is incredibly hard and that they don't want to play the game or stop playing the game just because it is so difficult. And that's not even just because of the skill tree and what you can do there. I actually really enjoy the skill tree, and I've also really enjoyed playing the game. I'm on Act 3 now, getting towards the end of Act 3, I think. Done a ton of bosses, which have all been just fantastic throughout the entire game. The game feels really smooth. The game feels great to play. I do have a few issues, but I'll kind of go over them at the end of the video. But right now, the game is feeling good. And I feel like if you are having kind of problems with the game, it's probably to do with your skill tree or that you're kind of behind on gear, because that's how I felt when I was kind of midway through Act 2. I did a full reskill because I just couldn't kill the end of Act 2 boss. I couldn't do it. I died over and over and over and over again. So I had to kind of farm gold. I had to go back to the skill tree. I had to reset the skill tree and then kind of redo my build, farm some new items, and then kind of go do the boss after that. The issue that I had with PoE 1 and why I didn't really play PoE 1 was because that wasn't really possible. You had a build, and if you didn't follow the build guide or was like a build guide genius, which I am not, I have about 3 IQ, you wouldn't be able to go through that content, right? So you would hit this wall. I'm doing no damage anymore. I don't understand the skill tree enough to really get into the game. I'm not following a build. I'm trying to wing it and do it myself. And then what happens is that you hit this wall and then you stop playing and go play another game. And I think that's how a lot of other people's experiences were when it came to playing PoE 1. And thanks to like the kind of like adaptation of the new skill tree and how things work with PoE 2, you can now go farm the gold, reset your skill tree, go farm some new items because you have a new build, and now you can go progress through the game because your skills are now different and you do more damage. If they kept the same system as PoE 1, I actually think that I would have stopped playing the game by now, because I got so stuck on the Act 2 boss that I had to do a full rebuild, and that just wouldn't be possible, and I'd have to create an entirely new character in order to try and go through that content. And I experimented a lot, right? That build was a lot of respecking. And I don't think I would have been able to do that with the same system as PoE 1. So I think like that is one of the main reasons that I'm really enjoying the game. On top of it just being absolutely fantastic, right? I just don't know. It's really good. I'm just really enjoying the overall experience of PoE 2 right now. And the suffering that a lot of people are going through is because the game's a lot slower. You know, we're coming from like D4, like PoE 1, sorry, blasting through that kind of content to a game that's a lot slower, more difficult. We don't have that kind of scaling in the game right now. You know, it's not as crazy powerful as we're not doing millions and millions of damage with an insane build right now. So going back to kind of a slower game style, I'm actually really enjoying. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but the change of pace feels good. Being surrounded by like a few monsters and them having those skills and attacks that you have to kind of like dodge roll out of the way of feels good. It feels more like a Dark Souls ARPG-esque kind of game, especially when you're fighting the bosses. But the one thing that I would say I've complained about the most throughout my entire streams while playing PoE 2 is the roll mechanic. I've found myself most of the time caught in a corner or have been pushed up into a corner by like a bigger mob, and then as I'm in that corner I go to move around or roll around, and then other minions just like come in and they kind of collapse on top of you, and that corner then becomes just a death corner which you can no longer get out of the way of. I feel like you should be able to, depending on what minion or mob type is holding you in that corner, I feel like you should be able to just roll through it. Like if I'm surrounded by like those little kind of ants or like kind of bugs or like whatever, right? I can just step on them. So I feel like if I were to be able to use my roll mechanic, I should be able to kind of like push them out of the way. Especially if I'm like wielding an insane amount of lightning from my fingertips. I feel like just rolling through something is kind of a no-brainer. My second critique is is what D4 does really well. Well, no, hold up, don't judge me. Is that the environment breaks? And I like that the environment does break because there's a table and chairs in front of me in PoE 2 right now when I was going through the manor, and I got stuck on a chair while getting slammed down by a kind of like a giant tentacle monster. And I feel like that table and chairs would get absolutely obliterated when he or me, like if I did a lightning skill directed at that monster, it would just blow up the entire screen. And the only thing that is left there is a chair. I get, and that kind of ties in with the I keep getting stuck in corners or like on objects or like the hitboxes aren't feeling like kind of too great right now. I'll get stuck on like a candle or I get stuck on like a little kind of lantern that's in the corner of the room that I didn't really see because I was looking somewhere else or at whatever. Then I just get like piled in on and I'm just stuck on a lantern. You know, I feel like I should be able to either roll and it will destroy the lantern, or if I did an ability or skill that the lantern would just be obliterated. I mean, obviously, if a Titan is holding you in the corner, then that makes a lot more sense. But if an ant is holding you in the corner, that doesn't make too much sense. That's really the only thing that I've would kind of like change within going forwards in the game. But I'm honestly 50 hours in just a couple of days is a good amount of game time for me. Let me know what you kind of think so far. Like, what are you enjoying? Is there anything that you're not enjoying as much? Are you having problems with the skill tree? Is it too overwhelming? What builds are you guys going? You know, I'm interested in that, and I'd like to talk to you about that. And I always comment back as well, in the comment sections. If you look at my previous videos, I'm always talking in my comments. So throw a comment down. I really appreciate it. And I mean, all the YouTube things, like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll talk to you in the next one.